Welcome back to Karen in the Kitchen. A lot of folks don't like eating leftovers, but leftovers is one of my favorite things to have. Of course, I take my lunch to work pretty much every day, so I like making a lot of stuff on the weekends and having it to eat on during the week. Well, we grilled some ribeye steak bone-in last night, and I bought some bigger steaks on purpose because I wanted to use the leftovers to make something that's really delicious. And it is a ribeye steak and onion homemade gravy sandwich with provolone cheese. It's delicious. And of course, our dogs will love the bones as a treat for them as well. But something else to go along with that, which we're going to make that in a little bit, but I wanted to get started with something else that takes a little bit more time to do. This time of year, we've been getting a lot of fresh vegetables out of the garden. As you can see behind me, I've got a basket full back there. We've been eating squash and zucchini and cucumbers and things like that. So I got a lot of that kind of stuff right this time of year. And then also, our blueberries are coming in. Peppers are beginning to come in as well. Getting a few little tomatoes, but that'll be another segment that we talk about all together. And just a lot of beautiful cucumbers. So I wanted to show you this. This is something my mom taught me. Look how pretty that is. That is cucumbers and white onions. Now what I did with that, and my mom's the one that told me about this, is I sliced and peeled my cucumbers and just got me some plain regular white onion, and I used some apple cider vinegar and sugar, and I use a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay? And I only heat that enough to melt or dissolve that sugar. Then I let it cool down. Then I put my cucumbers and my onions in my jar, and I pour it right over it. This is a great side with anything that you're cooking and preparing, but you can also have this just with some sharp cheddar cheese, some wedges of sharp cheddar cheese, and some crackers. It's delicious, and it's nothing to fixing it. So I had a whole lot of cucumber left, or this time of year going on, so I wanted to do something different with that and discover this that my mom told me about. But the fresh potatoes, let's talk about those. We do those a lot of different ways once those come into season. This is one of our favorite ways is to make homemade potato chips. Have you ever tried to make a homemade potato chip and it's soggy or wilty? It's because it's got so much starch in it. So what you have to do is soak them in water for a couple of hours and drain that off, rinse them, cover them again till the water then kind of becomes clear. And then a key that we'll show you later whenever we fry the potatoes is to make sure that they're completely dry before you put them in your hot oil. Oh, they're a favorite of ours around here. I've made them for gatherings just as appetizers, and as fast as I can take them out of the hot oil and toss them in a little bit of salt and pass them around, they're gone, and I have to make another batch. So they really are delicious. This is going to go with our steak sandwich today, but I wanted to show you how I do that. A mandolin is a must in every kitchen, okay? Now this is a little guard that you have to take out of the way. And I have experimented with this, and I wanted the potato chips to be thin and crispy, but the small, or the very thin, made it too thin where the chip basically would dissolve in the oil. There wouldn't be a whole lot left. So I have found that the medium slicer really is the best way to go. So we pop this in here, and you got to be careful because you can cut your fingers. You got to be careful. With any mandolin, they're going to give you a little guard that you can use. So basically, you decide how big you want your chips, if you want them sideways or if you want them oblong or whatever. I'll do a variety for us here. So all you do is just run it right over the blade. You can see how this is turning. See how it's slicing it beautifully? All right, look at that. That is going to be just perfect. I have found the mediums slice to be the best slice to do. It makes the perfect chip for what we like. So what I'm going to do is just finish slicing all of these up. And once I finish, we're going to place all of this in this bowl here and cover it with water. Completely cover the potatoes with water because you don't want them to turn brown for one thing. But you'll notice that whenever you start covering this with water, that it will kind of look or have a milky color to it, and that's just the starch coming out in the potato. So I'm going to go ahead and slice up all of these and get those in the refrigerator, and I'll let them soak in there for an hour or so, and I'll check on them, kind of drain it off, rinse it again, cover it again. I'll do that once or twice, and then we'll show you the finished product when we start frying them a little bit later. And the ciabatta bread that we're going to use for this steak sandwich really sets it over the top. You got to have the right bread for this kind of sandwich because it needs to be able to hold up. But we'll show you all of that in just a little while. Wow, what a day. We've been so busy. It's been several hours since I sliced those potatoes and put those up to soak. And I've been catching up on chores and yard and garden and stuff like that. So we finally got everything done and we're ready to have a nice meal. So I told you earlier that we had some bone-in ribeye steak last night with some baked potato, with some fresh potatoes from our garden. It was just so delicious, but I bought some pretty big steak so that I'd have some left over. So this is what I've done, is I have deboned that ribeye and sliced it in long slices like this right here. Okay, as you can see, it was some beautiful meat. All right, so what I'm going to do is make a brown gravy with some bacon drippings and several things. So let me show you what those things are. Let's see here, where do we get started? All right, we're going to throw in all of these ingredients. This is herbs, bell pepper, and other peppers from our garden, and some onion. All right, now the bread that we're going to be using for this is this ciabatta bread. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Let me finish slicing that through and show you what it looks like in the middle. Look at that. Now this bread is going to be perfect for the gravy that we're going to be making, because you see those little holes in there? Whenever I make that gravy and throw the meat and the onions and everything in there, we're going to toast this lightly and then put a little mayonnaise on there and then smother it with that ribeye and that gravy and those onions and bell peppers. It's going to be delicious. And then we'll top it off with a slice of provolone cheese. Now, we told you earlier we were working on some homemade potato chips to go with that, but I know you're spying something over my shoulder right here, so I know you want to know what this is. The blueberries that we had out here earlier, I said, let me throw a nice cobbler together, so that's what we did. This has been out of the oven for a little while, so it's not too hot now. Now, this is a basic cobbler recipe. Nothing fancy about that part, but here's what I did with the blueberries. I put those in a bowl and I tossed them with a little bit of white sugar and a little bit of Grand Marnier, which is a orange liqueur. It's going to be delicious. Then I did a little bit of lemon zest and some lemon juice in there too. So I tossed the berries and all of that first, and then I made a basic cobbler recipe and then put it all together and baked it for about 45 minutes or so. As you can see, it looks beautiful. It smelled the whole house up. It's going to be delicious. That's for dessert, because life's too short to be skinny, right? That's my philosophy anyhow. Now, let's show you what the potato chips look like right now. We've been letting the oil get hot, so what I'm about to do is drain this, and then I'm going to put it in here and really pat it dry so that there is no moisture left on these potato chips. So whenever we throw them in the fryer, they're going to fry up really, really crisp and golden brown, and then I'm going to hit them with some pink salt. Really like the pink salt. A little bit different flavor with the pink salt, and a little bit of ground black pepper, fresh black pepper. So we're going to toss that all around, and it's going to go with our delicious ribeye steak and provolone cheese sandwich, homemade potato chips, potatoes out of the garden. We're going to also have those cucumbers and onions that we talked about earlier. A little side note on that, we set a 1-to-1 ratio between the apple cider vinegar and the sugar. If you want it sweeter, you can add more. I like mine with a little bit of a tang, so it really is perfect for me like that. But if you want to make it sweeter, you can. So we're going to have that on the side, and then for dessert, we'll top it off with that blueberry cobbler. I don't think we could have a better meal to finish up our weekend and get us ready for the work week. So let's get started. Okay, I've shown you how to do this before. This is just some bacon drippings that I've saved. And I'm throwing some white flour in here, plain flour. And we're going to brown this up. Now let me show you the other seasonings in addition to the onions and the fresh herbs and the bell peppers that we're going to be throwing in here along with that meat. We're going to salt and pepper, paprika, a little cumin, ground cumin, and we're going to throw a little bit of sugar in there, not a lot, and then some beef broth that is at room temperature. And once I put all that together, we're going to throw the meat and the onions in there and put the lid on it and just let that get together and let the onions infuse their flavors with it as well. So I'll work on that for a little bit. I'm going to roll. All right, gravy looks wonderful. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to throw in all of my vegetables, some beautiful onion, peppers out of the garden, And these peppers are not hot peppers, but they have some good flavor. And then, of course, the green bell pepper. I'm going to go ahead and throw my herbs in, too. And these are just the herbs that I have in my herb bed out there. I think sage, parsley, and a little bit of oregano, and something else. What else? Oh, rosemary. Yeah, that was the other thing I put in there. It will not take long for this to cook down. And I don't want the vegetables to get mushy. I want them to still have a little integrity so that when we make those sandwiches, we get some of all of it and it comes together real nicely. All right, we're going to go ahead now and add this beautiful ribeye that we had left over from last night. Look how gorgeous that is. That is going to be so good. That is going to be delicious. Now, as this meat reheats, the fat that's in it will come out and also mix in with this gravy that we made with the beef broth and salt and pepper, the ground cumin and the paprika, and then our vegetables. It's all going to come together real well. And those sandwiches on that toasted ciabatta bread with a slice of provolone cheese is going to be awesome. Now, I'm going to let this cook for a little while. I've got it on low. Just going to let that simmer in there together. And I'm going to go ahead and start the potato chips because they do not take very long to do. I have several batches to do, but whenever I start frying them, it doesn't take very long at all. Homemade potato chips. It's going to be delicious. Potato chips are delicious. We've been sampling already. I've got another batch just about ready. Look at that. Look how good that looks. Let me get these dumped out. Get another batch going. Just don't overcrowd them, but you know, you can put several in there. Just watch them because they do not need to go very long. All right, now put a little bit of black pepper on there. Move that around, toss it around. Some of the pink salt. Now some of the other flavors, if you want to use these, and we try all kinds of things. We do some garlic powder, a little Greek seasoning. If you want to have it Cajun flavor, you can throw a little bit of that on there as well. But this is what I want you to hear, okay? If you do it like this, listen. That is so good. A potato right out of the garden, straight to the table. I think there's some kind of saying about farm to table or something. Dirt to table sounds good to me. Delicious. Okay, we're at the finished product. It smells so good in here, and we are starving. Our ciabatta bread has been toasted. We've got our cucumber and our onion that we did with the apple cider vinegar and sugar. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to lay that steak on there. Get that on there first. Look at the juices running off of that. Got to get some of those bell peppers and other peppers that we have out of the garden. Use those fresh herbs on there as well. All right, now we're going to top this off with that provolone cheese. Let that melt. That's good and hot. That's going to melt. Look at those potato chips. Listen to that. You hear that? Those delicious potato chips. Oh my goodness. I'm going to throw a little extra gravy on top of that cheese. Let that melt in there. Look how beautiful. I can promise you it smells wonderful. That ciabatta bread just really holds up to the gravy. It maintains its integrity. Oh my goodness. Tell me that does not look delicious. It's going to be wonderful. And then, if I have any room left, I'll top it off with that blueberry cobbler made with fresh eggs from our own chickens, blueberries from our own bushes. I've died and gone to heaven. It's going to be delicious. Thanks for watching. Bye.